Mata by Jean George. The crust of sleep is broken abruptly. I look drowsily through the wide crack. I do not know whether I see three minds, bird-shaped, flashing upon the bough of morning, or three delicately tinted souls, butterflying in the sun, or three brown-fleshed, husky children, sprawling, hilarious, over my bed and me. About this poem. Mata appeared in Poetry, a Magazine in Verse, Volume 10, Number 5, in August of 1917. In Poetry's Volume 11, Number 5 issue, the editors reviewed Others, an anthology of the new verse, published by Alfred A. Knopf in 1917, edited by Alfred Krummenacher, and claimed, "We are glad, Marion Moores, there is a great amount of poetry and unconscious fastidiousness was included in this book. It is a fascinating thing, and unlike anyone but Marion Moore, as all her poems are, but some of her pieces are too compact and keen, too fastidious for comfort. Jean George also is distinct, never echoes, and while seemingly at opposite poles in temperament and style from Marion Moore, these two have in common a satirical power and humor in which LeRoy shares."
Folks in Lo-Fi Lounge, welcome back to How to Write a Song. This segment of these particular episodes are going to be with fellow songwriters, and we're going to kind of just share a couple trade secrets of just how each person goes about trying to compose. Everyone's a little bit different, but we thought you'd like to know about that too. This is Dan Rush. He has an album, Dan and Cindy. It just came out, called HEARTWOOD, and it's very worth listening to.
Well, I guess let's pick a song here.
There you go.
There's quite a few on here, different ideas. Like this, let's start with a song I wrote called Barefoot Memory.
Okay.
Sometimes you come up with a hooky little line, and I remember I came up with this line: a rock in your pocket and a stone in your shoe.
Remember that?
I fought that for 4 years to come up with the song so it would work.
To fit that.
And it turned out it worked, but I think there's some patience involved. So a lot of my songs, sometimes it'll start with a hook or a feeling, and then I had to write that song, and it wound up being a rock in my pocket was me, from my perspective and my memory of remembering a relationship. The stone in the shoe is how she felt after the breakup. So it worked out really good. But it took me a while to come to figure that out, figure out the story.
Yeah.
But my approach is to write the story first and then come up with the melody behind it. And I envy those folks who can do it in reverse, where you have this lovely melody and now you're going to put the words to the melody. I've not been able to do that. But that's how I did on that particular song. Was that one took 4 years to write. I wrote a song called Bonnie Day that I went down on a rainy day and heard rain on a roof, and I wrote the line rain on a metal roof sounds like birthday paper being torn from a box full of memories, and it just goes on and on. We were about to lose someone very special, a mother to us, and so you tapped into that emotion and you let the nature speak to you, and then that song walked with me back up. So sometimes you get lucky that way.
So you were holding your guitar, you were down in that, under that thing, and then you go, what chord sounded like rain to you?
Well, I actually thought about that, but it turned out it felt like a nursery rhyme to me for some reason. So it wound up being like this. That melody came because it felt nursery rhyme, And it gave me room to go up and down in the chord structure, and it just seemed to fit with that song. So it's like, rain on a metal roof makes a sound like birthday paper torn from the box filled with wonder, full of memories. Hard as I try to hold back the storm, can't tell the tears from the rain in my eyes.
Exactly. So you had, and that's a wonderful line. That song ends on the album. It ends on that phrase, and I wasn't. I was keying into the end with this delivery line. But when you were telling me about that kind of patter on the tin roof and stuff, and now, hearing how each note. This is not a strum thing.
No,
it
had to be like the rain, like raindrops.
Yeah, like raindrops, and
I don't. Yeah.
But it's so physical. Folks would think sometimes songwriting or that songwriting is this intellectual thing, and you're solving a math problem, and it all comes out right at the end. It's usually the songs that are received, the lucky songs that are received. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It was the rain.
It was the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it is just paying attention, and since I write the music after, then I have to decide, well, what does the song feel like? What's the message? And if I was going to watch a movie, what would I want the orchestra to do in my story? And I guess that's kind of the way I look at it.
Oh, okay.
So I try to orchestrate the feeling I have. There's a song on the album, Mother Sycamore, and it's very, very dirgy. It's just two chords, really, with a flute in there. But in that particular song, it drove the song. So I think, in my case, I tend not to over melody it. I tend to just let the words speak. That's my
and you start with the words. I know that Cindy had mentioned that you have all sorts of ways of collecting, phrases or words. You read a book, and then just some things jump out at you, and then you put them in your phone.
Yeah, and then I'll set it. A lot of you may think I'm looking at Facebook. I'm actually writing songs on my phone. It's a little screen, but whenever a thought comes to you, you should pursue it. You should stop right there. I heard a little thing the other day. You can't blame me. I thought that's kind of cool. That's a repetitive chorus, Can't blame me for the mess in your kitchen. You can't blame me for the trouble in your life. And you can just take a riff like that and just start going on and turn your recorder on your phone and catch it all.
Yeah.
And then listen to it. And that helps.
And something will jump out from that.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of folks, I think, aspiring songwriters or people who stop just short of creativity because they don't think it's perfect.
Oh, no.
And it's the opposite of that. You're just grabbing.
Yeah.
You're grabbing stones. You're grabbing a phrase, and you're gonna go, and you just keep working it.
Right.
And then something goes from there.
I think what my approach is, I try to get the story down, even if it doesn't rhyme.
No, well, sure.
Get the story down. If you think about in a song, you generally have 3 verses at best and a chorus that's going to repeat in some kind of a organization like that. So that means you're going to try to tell this whole story in roughly 12 lines in a chorus.
Yeah.
And the chorus is like telling them what they already heard. So you really have to dial your story down. But start out by writing your story. You might have 10, 15, 20 verses before you can hone it down to where you can get it down to the 2-minute song. That helps a lot, 3-minute song. And then the other is to have a friend. This might sound funny, but I always say that the kind of friend you want to critique your music is the kind of friend who would tell you if your zipper is down. Now, I know that sounds funny, but a lot of people won't tell you. So I wrote a song, Shower of Sparks. The original version of that song was almost 8 minutes long. I went to my trusty friend and said, "What do you think?" He said, "Well, it's really good, Dan, but don't you think it's a little long?" So we parsed it down and worked it down and get to the bones.
Yeah.
And got it down to about 3 minutes and under 4.
Yeah, because there's an economy. Is it based on you just think songs should be that long, or do you think you can tell the story better?
I think in that case I could tell the story better because that was asking a lot from an audience to sit with me, to follow this story that's convoluted for 8 minutes long. That was long. Now, I have some songs that I've written that are 6 minutes long, and I love them, and I won't change a word out of them. But generally, if your intent is to write a song that you want an audience to listen to, other than your cat, my cat will listen as long as I play, then you need to think about how long will they stay focused with you? How long will they follow your story?
Mm-hmm.
And that's always present in my mind when I'm writing.
Yeah.
So if I can get to the meat of what I'm trying to say with 3 words instead of a whole verse, I'm going to try to, and that's called editing. That's what it's all about.
Which is the art of any creative act. I think this happens in writing in general, that there's so many young people who get turned off about just writing, just expressing themselves, because they'll get their paper back, from a teacher, and there's all these red lines over it. And it's like most of the art, if not all of the art, happens in what you rewrite. You want that 2 phases, to where you first just put what's there and available and open to you, with no concept that it's ever going to be edited, and you throw it on there, and you give yourself, I like the idea of just trying to finish stuff. Don't go away for a long time, but go away in your mind for 10 seconds, and then go back to it. And then the act of what you keep and save, this is where the art comes from, is this, those decisions of what gets the quicker, or what's a sharper way of saying, or a
sharper
keyword,
way. I think quicker is selling it short. It's not that I'm trying to do it fast.
Right.
I'm trying to be precise in that you're trying to create a picture that they can see in their mind with you. When we write, we totally see this beautiful picture in our head. Yeah. But how do I get you to know what my picture is? Unless I can find words that will trigger an emotion that might put you there. Come walk with me under cloudy skies, breeze through the canyon, sweet pines, and lightning flash, thunder roll. I believe it's speaking to our soul. A thirsty meadow and a cool running stream. Get closer and listen to it sing. An eagle circles in the sky. Let's try to see the world through her eyes. Between every 2 pines, here's a door to a brand new world. We're going out for a walk, but we're really going in. A bluebird warns the forest we are near. Frozen in the brush stands a deer. Their stories carved on stones along the path. Our ancestors speaking from the past. Between every 2 pines, here's a door to a brand new world. We're going out for a walk, but we're really going in. We're going out for a walk, but we're really going in.
Welcome back, Lo-Fi Lounge people, to a first edition of an idea I just had when I was driving over. I said I'm really interested in songwriters for sure, and we'll talk a little bit in the next segment about the 5 Seasons. It was one of the coolest shows we ever had here, featuring songwriters. So it got me on this tangent about how do people approach songs, and I wanted to, just ask Victor, how do you start a song? But I was going to show you what I do. Hopefully, I'll even remember. Is sometimes I'll hear a little mini melody in my head for a second, like 2 or 3 notes or something, and I might try to put a chord to it, but that'd be very complicated. Sometimes I'm just happy if I can find 2 chords that for the moment I trick myself into thinking I've never done before. And of course it's a lie, right?
Oh, always.
It's like total lie.
Yeah.
But, it'd be something like this, Dang. Wow. I wonder, is that worth pursuing? Was 4 chords I've never heard before in my life.
Those open voicings there.
I was trying to think of some words for it, and usually by that time I would have said something out loud. And in this particular song I said, good night, star bright, sleep, sleep and dream. Don't cry, don't say goodbye. There's more than what you see. You're still alive in me. 20% of those lyrics came out just because I found those 4 chords. And I started putting the song together, and then I realized halfway through that it was a song to a person. Karen Pratt Mills had been in the hospital, had come to a lo-fi show a couple of years later after having cancer, and it looked like she recovered. And I didn't know that she was sick again. And she had texted me, sent me an email actually, saying, oh, go Dangers. There was just something, it was just like a short little encouraging thing about the band. She was a fan of her music. And, I just sent back, that's nice. And when I didn't know that she was in the hospital when she sent it, and that when she had died, that was one of the last correspondence she could possibly have.
Right.
And so it ended up being the Goodnight Starbright was a story about how struggling with her. I put myself in her room.
Right.
And talking about these wires and her being set free. But that final Goodnight Starbright, to not be sad because I'm here with you, but for myself, know that she's always going to be a part of me. And this is just a person I didn't know that well. I mean,
Sure.
She bought an album, we talked a little bit, but that little magic time that this message was transferred, I'm sure that's what led to those chords.
Right.
And I just was lucky enough to follow it and put 2 and 2 together. And so that's how Goodnight Starbright started, was 4 chords, a few words, and then an oh my goodness moment I could write about something that's real.
Well, and so there's this whole thing that a lot of people have talked about, and I wonder about it, that songwriting is channeling in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways it is, but it same weird process, right? So on the new Third Mind record, there's a Fred Neil, there's a cover, it's mostly covers. There's one original song by Jesse and Dave. There's a Fred Neil song called A Little Bit of Rain, which is if I should leave you, try to remember the good times, lonely days and sad times. Just a little bit of rain. And Jessie Sykes sings it, and she sings it beautifully. And band does a great version of it. I'm learning a little bit of Rain, thinking, well, we're gonna go on the road. That'll be a cool song to cover. And I'm like, that's a nice song. I haven't really, I've listened to a lot of Fred Neil. I hadn't really focused on that song in a while. COVID hits. Sitting around like, not going on tour. 4 months sitting around the house with my dog and my mom. And I'm just working on this. Head for the hills, let's hit the road. And so I wrote the song Head for the Hills. It started with that, right? And that's, it was really as the chord progression was sitting around, and I was in this state and didn't know. And I wasn't really, I wasn't planning on ripping off Fred Neil. I don't even think I was thinking, I wasn't doing it at the time. I was just using the chords, right? And it's like it started. But I just had this idea. It's like, man, I just want to write this song about I wanted to have, kind of like a fun, snarky song about the fucked up situation of being locked down.
Head for the hills, let's hit the road. Let's pack it up, let's close the show. Let's make a move, let's hit this town, let's burn it down. Let's break up camp and douse the fire. Call back the dogs, we'll join the choir. Set 'em up, Joe, one for my baby and one for the road. And now it all seems so far away. Could there be a better day for me and you? I don't know why we waited. I don't know the road to take. I just know it's getting late for me and you. Head for the hills, it's time to bounce. Let's bust the move and let's bug out. We're giving in, we're jumping ship. It's time to split. We're making tracks, we're moving on. Let's pull a ghost. Come, baby, come. Farewell, goodbye, adios, adieu to all of you. And now it all seems so far away. Could there be a better day for me and you? I don't know why we waited. I don't know the road to take. I just know it's getting late for me and you. And on the horizon there's a mountain high. It was made for you and I, that I'm sure. Let's try to disappear. Let's find a road that's clear. Let's find a way that we can get away from here. Head for the hills, let's go get stoned. Let's all get lost. This place is toast. Farewell, goodbye, adios, adieu. Farewell, goodbye, adios, adieu to all of you.
For a movie too, and it ended up in the movie, so there you go. Holding myself, I'm just trying to get a hold of myself. I'm scaring my friends, I'm just trying to get a hold of myself. I sabotage all I set out to do. I can't imagine how that looks to you, but don't go away. I'm just trying to get a hold of myself. I got me a dog, think it's time I got me a dog. He could be my little pal. I think it's time I got me a dog. The last one I had, well, he got hit by a car. They kept it right on driving, and I took it real hard. Now it's time to move on. I think it's time I got me a dog. Fork in the road. I think we're coming to a fork in the road. Take it from me, I see we're coming to a fork in the road. I miss the days when you could laugh at yourself. You rip my heart out when you don't want my help. Take it from me, we're coming to a fork in the road. Hold to myself, I'm just trying to get a hold of myself.